Todd Goldstein's on the bench.
And Jacob Edwards is at the centre bounce, the mid-season #1 pick from last year, and he wins his first hit out down to Hugh Greenwood. Roos fans like that one. A bit of a round of applause from Jacob Edwards, but Joel Smith immediately rebounds and sends it towards half forward. Jackson dropped it. The D's have numbers inside their forward 50. They can get their hands on the ball here, but they can't. It's Scott finding Patrick Walker. Spargo applying the tackle. Goda goes back to Patrick Walker, then Josh Walker with a kick towards half forward, but Pickett. How about that for a contested grab against Bailey Scott?
What about the way he twisted his body in air to protect the drop of the ball, knowing that Scott was coming the opposite way?
Then Josh Walker, outstanding grab from
Hard
Pickett.
to teach that.
And Gawn is in the pocket and almost uncontested, able to take the mark. Lovely lead up from Max Gawn. And the skipper, who proved in the preliminary final last year, he can genuinely kick him from anywhere on the ground at any time, in any way, can have a shot from a tight position, but the right side for a right footer.
Is that one of the best finals performances you've ever seen last year, Max Gawn?
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah, certainly by a ruckman.
Oh, easily by a ruckman.
Absolutely bonkers performance that was by Gawn. 40 metres out, keeps it simple and keeps it straight.
That's shelling pea sort of stuff for the big fella.
Kicking him like a key forward that's been doing it his whole career. Max Gawn, a couple of casual high fives as he puts through his first goal of the day, and Melbourne's 13th as they extend their lead back out to 54 points. And Max Gawn just continuing to do it. He doesn't look like he's signs of slowing down anytime soon.
No, and nor should he. And that was a very simplistic way to start this last quarter. A brilliant mark on the near side by Cozzy Pickett, and then just puts it out in front of the big fella. So young Jacob Edwards, the mid-season pick from last year, is going to have his work cut out. But once again, a great learning opportunity. Max Gawn took him forward, put him in the position to have to launch at the football, and it ultimately was an uncontested mark. So Edwards is 200 centimetres.
Yep.
Max is clearly more than that.
He's got a good leap on him, though, Jacob Edwards, as we saw. And he crashes into Gawn there, but Gawn intelligently down to Petrarca, who torps it inside 50. Josh Walker dropped the intercept mark. Pickett, what a clever tap. Beautifully done to Spargo. That was smothered off the boot, though. The game sense of Pickett really on song there, and the D's still have a scoring opportunity. Pickett and Spargo really looming as a lethal small forward combination once again in 2022. McDonald doing the ruck work. Spargo and Young happy to see it over the line. Would you like to see Cozzy Pickett play a little bit more in the midfield in the centre bounce rotations?
I think he's been there probably about the right amount today.
Okay.
Now, I haven't got the exact numbers of how many he's been in there for, but I'd say it's probably 5 to 8 minutes per quarter, it appears.
Yep.
Just by the naked eye, and I think he's that sort of play. Just go in there, impact, and then get back where you can cause the most damage.
And Spargo applies a wonderful tackle. If it's not Pickett that gets you, it's Spargo. And the small forward now can line up for goal. Tight angle, but he's very crafty around the goals and might have an opportunity for a kick here.
Looks like he's going to go the left foot around the body, opposed to the right-footed check side.
Doesn't quite have the curl that he was after. And it goes into the opposite pocket and it's out of bounds. Charlie Spargo with a terrific goal, centering goal in that second quarter onslaught from the Demons when they kicked 5 goals, 2-2 behinds. They extended their lead in the third quarter. Horn Francis, Bowie with a big fly over the top.
Would have thought that's got to be a free kick. An umpire didn't see it. Not sure if you can...
No,
they've got it eventually.
Yeah,
That's right.
Non-controlling umpire helping out there.
I think he was blindsided, the near umpire. There was a handful of players in his line of vision.
Just watching also Stephen May heading back into the rooms as well with a couple of trainers.
I just watched him walk from the deep 50, 100 metres behind the play.
Yep.
And I just thought, well, that was his time to say, you're done, come from the ground. But not when you walk into the rooms with 2 trainers. That's a different conversation.
Okay, so keep you updated if we hear anything from there. As Hibbard, probably the first blind kick we've seen all day from Melbourne, inside 50, and Josh Walker gets an easy intercept mark. Their kicking into the arc today has been sublime, the D's. Jackson, though, can create another opportunity. Neil Bullen to pick it over his head. And Josh Walker with a second straight intercept. And a beautifully weighted ball as well for Young, who marks at left half back. Jaden Hunt warming up on the sidelines here, so he might get a bit of an injection of pace.
Sam Wiedemann not warming up, though, surprisingly. I thought he would have been given a quarter.
Yep.
He's going to be a hard team to break into. Imagine being in that team selection each week. Wouldn't you love to be a fly on the wall to hear the conversations from the coaching staff trying to work out their best team
and still
week
Bailey,
in, week out.
Still Bailey Fritsch and Jake Lever and Jack Viney and Melksham all involved in selection conundrums as well, as Petrarca unloads from beyond 50 and kicks the goal.
Gosh.
All class Christian Petrarca, and the D's take their lead to 10 goals straight, 14-7-91. North Melbourne 4-7-31 as Petrarca slams through his first of the day.
That's just raw power. That is a man with just so much talent. First of all, it's Oliver weaving his way through. Forward handball. Neil Bullen gives it back. 1, 2, 3. Get yourself lined up. You can't do much about it.
No.
The only way you can stop it is take it off the D's before they get it.
See your Brownlow pick for this year, Dale? You've done any Brownlow predictions yet?
I haven't done them.
Right.
I haven't done it. I mean, you could throw a blanket over probably 5 of them and walk away and get them all wrong.
Yep.
Like, the competition is so even. Like, a Nat 5 comes back in,
Yep.
play some more football. Bontempelli off the year that he had last year.
Carlton win a few more games. Sam Walsh polls well.
You could say Petrarca, but you've got every right to say Oliver as well.
Yeah.
Like Max Gawn. Do they steal votes off each other?
Probably the case a bit last year, no doubt. Here are the Roos. Lazaro's been lively for North Melbourne. Hayden off half-back to Scott. And they've worked that out quite nicely. The Kangaroos. Kick just over the head there of Horn Francis, but he followed up with a great tackle there, Horn Francis, to force a loose ball. And ultimately a stoppage. The kick came from Gota. So they're using Josh Gota, who was the pick 22 in last year's draft, taken early in the second round, using him mainly off half-back. Does have the versatility to play almost anywhere on the ground. He's really good size at 190 centimetres.
We haven't mentioned Ollie Wines.
No, of course, he's a decent Brownlow chance.
We better mention him. And while we're talking about Dustin Martin, deserves to have his name mentioned in there somewhere.
Hibbert dropped the mark. Curtis dived on top of it, got it to Thomas with the outside of the boot. Taron Thomas just had a bit too much curl on it. And threw for a minus score.
I'll put you on the spot. Have you done your predictions? If you had to give me one name to win the Brownlow this year.
Yeah, Sam Walsh.
Okay.
Yeah, just because I think Carlton will win a few more games.
I was going to say, how many more games do they need to win? We know what Erie had last year.
Well, if they win 11 or 12, I recken he's a huge chance. Okay. But that also depends on how well Cripps goes as well.
Yep.
And obviously the inclusions of Chera and George Hewitt. I think George Hewitt's a very underestimated recruit for the Blues. He's really going to help them out around stoppage.
Yeah, the role that he plays. So good news for the D's here. Stephen May's back onto the bench, just getting a little bit of massage in front of us. Looks like he'll be fine.
Bowie picked it up off the pack there. Neil Bullen to Oliver to Bowie. And Brayshaw's again worked hard on the wing and immediately plays on and arched his back and put it into the middle of Casey Fields. Neil Bullen clean below his knees. Sparrow kept on running, but that is a superb handball from Neil Bullen. Sets up Sparrow, but in the end, the kick just didn't quite have enough juice on it, and it's touched through for a behind in the end. It's back to an even 10-goal differential between the two sides. Hayden again off half-back, using him a fair bit in that role today. David Noble and the Kangaroos. Spin from Rivers. He's tackled over the line and out of bounds.
Just the confidence that the D's have on turnover. They don't go back to support. They have one person there that's riding shotgun. Everybody else is getting into a position to attack. Watching the half forward start to lengthen. Where can they get the football next? And by the time he gets to Brayshaw, he's got 2 or 3 options already in front of the footy.
Curtis couldn't take it cleanly. Langdon did. There's a free kick for holding after the handball was released, and it looks like it's going to go the way of North Melbourne. Good signs from Paul Curtis, who was taken with pick 35 in last year's draft, the Western Jets product.
Yep.
Lazaro, high inside 50. Taylor from the side, had a good look at it, really hitting hard into Brayshaw there. Speaking of hitting hard, Zerha cracks in again. Marnie gets the handball towards Stevenson, but look at the power of Oliver. Wanted that footy more than anyone else, and the D's can break away here. Brayshaw to Chandler. Big bump there from Gota. forcing a mistime kicked in the end. Hayden didn't quite get a clean handball away. Umpire said play on. Pickett, so good on his left. Waits it towards half forward. Just over the head of Jordan. Ball comes to the back. Jackson couldn't quite take it cleanly below his knees, and the Roos arrived to lend support. Scott and Curtis again. Oh, didn't have enough.
Good follow-up.
Oomph on the kick, though. Yeah, great follow-up there on Bowie. Maybe
he's got done for a sling.
Yeah, and Bowie just a little worse for wear after that tackle, but able to get to his feet pretty quickly. And Jake Bowie now can reload for the D's with just under 16 and a half minutes remaining in this game. What has been a demon demolition. Harms able to get around Stevenson with ease. Kick it long inside 50. Petrarca couldn't, almost had the mark. Brown picks up the crumbs and kicks the goal, and that is 4 for Ben Brown. He's been doing it mainly from a set shot today, but the big man, 200 centimetres, did the crumbing on that occasion. And we talked about how potentially he wants to, you'd like to see him improve at ground level. That was nice and clean from Ben Brown.
It won't get much easier for him. I watched him just jog beside us when that free kick went back to the centre circle, or the centre square. He jogged unmanned, unmarked, the length of half the length of Casey Fields, and that's why he popped up in the goal square all by himself. A little bit disorganised behind the football, but that is the concern and the threat that the D's will force on everybody this year. They get back and they equalise those numbers, and if you're not organised and you can't find a direct opponent, you think you've got the right one, or you think you've got somebody, and then someone like Ben Brown's all by himself. To
see Ben Mackay, saw him just beforehand, just a little dazed after that big marking contest. He's just coming to the ground now with a towel and a couple of trainers. Blood rule, in fact, has been called, so Aidan Core will come on straight away for Ben Mackay. Just a reminder, Callum Coleman-Jones put on ice at three-quarter time with a left knee concern. That will no doubt be assessed in the coming days, and the full severity of that will be revealed. Goldstein decisively down towards Greenwood. Thomas again, being one of North Melbourne's best today. Powell towards half forward. Just Marnie overshot his leap there and allowed the D's to pounce from behind. And Salem beautifully way to kick to Chandler. Started played mainly across half forward today, Cade Chandler, but just worked his way up the ground a little bit as this game has progressed, as Gawn hits the deck hard.
Well, we know he can kick him from there as well, so he doesn't have to get too much closer to goal. It's one of the biggest goals I reckon I've ever seen.
It was absolutely nuts. What a kick there from Gawn as well to Petrarca. Now he is within range. And considering the time that it's taken the D's to get forward here, the Roos have been able to get numbers back. So we're going to ride this Christian Petrarca set shot from right behind as well. We saw him kick a wonderful goal on the run from beyond 50 at the start of this quarter. What's he got from a set shot? Christian Petrarca, All-Australian last year, finished second in Melbourne's Best and Fairest. Of course, won the Norm Smith medal in a successful premiership campaign. From 52 metres, didn't quite have the accuracy on that occasion. Clearly got the distance. And it's a 61-point lead now for the D's. How can Christian Petrarca get better, Dal?
Oh, it's a brilliant question. Well, there's always areas. Now, you've got to be really detailed. You've got to be really critical to find areas for improvement for Christian Petrarca. It was probably his ability to convert in front of goals. It wasn't that long ago that was his one area. If he wanted to be, in the conversation of a Dustin Martin, that style of play, then you've got to finish off your good work. He was getting shots on goal, or at goal, and just was missing. But I think if he does, someone's down behind play, it looks like it's Ben Brown.
Yeah, just noticing that. You can see that at the top of your screen there as well.
Might have been a bit of a body check from Josh Walker. So we'll just keep an eye on that. But if you're playing at that level that Christian Petrarca is, the challenge is to continue to stay at that level. It takes a huge demand, both physically and mentally, to stay at the top of your game and the top of the competition. They're all coming for him. They're all trying to replicate and be that style of play. If he can just keep having a similar season, Benny, can't ask for much more.
That's right. Just looking at Ben Brown, he's okay. He's just getting to his feet right near the behind post here. You can see him at the top of your screen. All focus now is on the bottom of your screen where Max Gawn runs on the arc, unloads. Look at the curl. Big Mac says, how good am I?
Very good is the answer.
Gore.
Extremely good.
Kicks his second goal of the day. Struck that beautifully. And the Demons hit the ton at Casey. 105 plays 32. That's a 73-point differential.
Well, the ability of this man, and we saw it in finals last year, and this is just adding strings to your boat. So now the threat with a Max Gawn, because what the opposition ruckman would traditionally do is drop behind the football to be that extra number, normally in the goal square, to try and touch it on the line or to take an intercept mark. But if your opposing ruckman, being Max Gawn, is now kicking him from 50, are you going back to the goal line and trying to support your teammates, or are you actually playing on your direct opponent knowing that he is more than capable in a pre-season game, in a grand final, in a prelim?
Yeah.
He does it on all stages.
Yeah.
He's just a threat everywhere he goes.
He comes to the bench after that goal. That's his second of the day. And
what a leader he's become as well, Ben.
Yeah.
What a leader.
There's obviously question marks when he was given the captaincy, considering, I suppose his laid-back persona off the field, but he leads by example better than anyone else in the competition. Petrarca and Harms, Oliver and Harms combine from the centre-bound stoppage there, but Pickett's given away for a free kick for pushing the back, so Turner will be given an opportunity here. So you mentioned we've been watching Sam Wiedemann all day, and he's got the training top off now, Dal.
He's just getting warmed up as we speak. So we've got roughly 12 and a half minutes to play, so he's only going to get a short opportunity. It's going to be extremely difficult to come on and put your best foot forward, no doubt about that.
Sparrow's handball intercepted by Thomas through the hands of Larkey, but Curtis was waiting there to give it to Thomas. And now they're working it out through Phillips. Taylor set Goldstein the task, but then Goldstein is able to put it towards the advantage of Zerha, but he just able to thump or push Hunt out the way, allow, in the end, Langdon to pick up a loose ball, go to Spargo, and he finds Neil Bullen and the Demons again.
And here he is again.
So good off half-back. Langdon and Hunt working away, and Hunt's got fresh legs, and we know how quick he is and how much he loves to run. A couple of bounces and a lovely kick to Ben Brown, who's back on his feet. Unselfishly plays on, hoping for McDonald. Bumped away from him in the end, but good to see Ben Brown back up and moving once again.
So Langdon is the one that ultimately gets the turnover in the back pocket. He works from the off-ball side at high speed, gets the turnover, generates the overlap coming back the other way.
Yep.
And his twin in Hunt goes forward. And once again, they go from D50 to forward 50 with another threat.
Yeah, one of those players, Jaden Hunt, that wasn't part of that premiership outfit. As a
they just can't play them all. It's as simple as that. They all probably deserve a game. They've worked hard to get a game, and just at the end of the day, you've just got to find 22 of your best. Some really good players are going to miss out.
Top of the goal square. Goldstein there, able to thump it through. So you're looking at, from a North Melbourne perspective today, Dal, what are some of your key takeaways from what you've seen from the Kangaroos on since basically halfway through the first quarter? It's been a pretty tough afternoon for them.
It has. I think they'll get a lot of learnings, particularly the midfield, about how the best in the competition go at it. Now, it's an unrealistic expectation to be able to go for particularly 4 quarters at this pace against Petrarca and Oliver and Gawn in the ruck. But they're going to learn. So it's both the effort and the sustainability of that.
As Pickett goes inside 50, Harms one-on-one with Turner, but the ball beats him. Harms wanted a free kick, but it'll be tossed back in instead.
But it's also the structures, and I've mentioned numerous times that they're getting drawn into the contest, and they think they're doing the right thing. Let's put pressure at the source. What it actually creates against teams that are really good by hand, it actually generates natural overlap.
McDonald grabs it out of the ruck, snaps it around the body, and puts it right through the middle. Tom McDonald with his 3rd goal, and the big key forwards at the D's have made an impact on the scoreboard today. 4 to Brown and 3 to Tom McDonald. And that's Hawkins-like out of the ruck, grabbing it in a forward 50 stoppage and kicking the goal.
It's a very good tactic. So they set it up like it is just a marking contest. It's about your body work and protecting the drop zone. Tom Hawkins has almost created it as his own. It's a brilliant move, and it's so difficult to stop. That's really well executed there by Tom McDonald. So from a Kangas perspective, it's clearly been a really tough day, particularly after the first 5 to 10 minutes of that first quarter where they got on the scoreboard, had the ball in their forward half for, large chunks of that first quarter. But this is about growth. You look around and almost to a man, where's an obvious win against the D's?
Yeah.
You know, what particular matchup can you walk or come to the ground today and say, hey, I feel really confident we're going to win this particular matchup? Just getting organised with the 6-6-6.
Yeah. So maybe a warning against the Kangaroos. So we've got Edwards going up against Sam Wiedemann in the ruck. So Wiedemann is in the ruck because I'm looking at the bench and Gawn and Jackson are both sitting on the pine. And it doesn't matter because the D's have got the clearance. Sparrow paddles it to Oliver. And can he get a lick of the ice cream? He certainly can.
It's grand final day again.
Look away now, Bulldogs fans. As
look at that.
Oliver explodes out of the stoppage and kicks his first of the day. And it is a demon fiesta here at Casey.
Let's have a really close look at this. So have a look at Oliver and his initial handball. This is a give and go. Wins the contested. That's put up in the air and he's already off. He knows that that ball is going to be given back to him cleanly or surged forward. Look at that burst out of that centre square. That's deja vu.
Yeah, it is.
That is deja vu, and the celebration's very similar.
Yeah.
Different location, probably different things on the line today, Ben.
I think so.
But what a player he has become. An incredible ball winner, and now with that running capacity and the skill execution.
Last year he won his third best and fairest in his 6th year with the Demons. And he's applying the tackle there on Horn Francis, but Edwards is able to find Phillips and Lazaro. Marks and plays on immediately. Sends it inside 50. Zurha was leading up. Marnie crumbs again. Clean hands there to Zurha. Edwards just fumbled at the wrong time, trying to get himself involved in the game. Zurha handballs back. Scott's got a good look at the goals here. Snaps around his body and didn't have the juice on the kick. And Langdon has worked all the way back to his defensive goal square to intercept that ball. Dangerous kick though. And it might give Marnie an opportunity to try and sniff out a third goal. Curtis, wrapped up by Tomlinson, and umpire will ball it up.
Just thinking about Clayton Oliver, if there was one piece of his game that you would take, what would it be? What's his best attribute as a footballer?
Well, he's the number one contested possession player in the competition last year, so his ability to win the hard ball would be right up there. He's just so powerful now, isn't he? He'd take that attribute every day of the week.
I know it's more of a characteristic. I think he's the ultimate competitor.
Right.
And the contested possession and his dogged attitude for everything that is in his area is as good as anybody in the competition. He wants that ball as more than anybody else on the field, and he puts his nose over it when he has to. He's ferocious when the opposition have the ball.
But he also seems like he's become a smarter player as well.
Yep.
His creative nous on the outside has been just as good. There he is applying a tackle, Oliver, and almost forcing a repeat stoppage, rather. Horn Francis got a handball in there. Young immediately wrapped up by Petrarca.
And the nightmare that the opposition, in preparation of playing the Ds, who do you put your emphasis on?
Yeah.
Who do you? Not many teams have taggers, but you can have someone that tries to negate or at least cool the opposition's best midfielder down. Is it Oliver? Is it Petrarca? If Cozzy Pickett's in there, is he your biggest threat?
And he goes on the left, and he's wheeled onto both left and right foot with a aplomb today. Beautiful handball from Petrarca. Puts it in front of Sparrow, who just misses. We were talking about the players beforehand that to help the Ds go to the next level.
Yep.
And they're really giving Tom Sparrow a good look at stoppages today, or a good run on the ball. Maybe he's the player. He's played 28 games for the Ds now, 21 years of age. He played 21 games last year. Maybe he's the player that can help the Ds on-ball brigade go to the next level.
And keep in mind, Viney's not here today, so he's a walk-in start in that midfield as well. It just creates opportunities for the coaching staff as well. Like you speak about Cozzy Pickett today. Well, if they need it that particular week, Cozzy Pickett can do it. Melsham can do it. Harms can do it. They've actually got a handful of players outside of their core that can pinch hit if the opportunity arises or if it's needed.
Wiedemann grabbed it out of the ruck, just able to get a handball away. Harms to Spargo. McDonald tried to position himself there against Josh Walker, but Edwards jumped in front and intercept Marks. The mid-season pick one from last year. Lazaro again, been busy. Sees to switch on the outer side. Bailey Scott breaks away. Scott was an important member of the team last year. 17 games for the father-son pick.
I believe he got a rising star in his first game.
Yeah, he did against the Eagles.
Stadium. That's correct. Had a good first up hit.
That was a game where they got thumped as well by the Eagles. Horn Francis try to win himself the free kick. None forthcoming. It'll be balled up directly in front of goal with 6.5 to play.
Todd Goldstein, Tarrant Thomas and Jack Siebel all trying to get back on the ground with, as you mentioned, 6.5 to play.
Zerha trying to get a little bit of free space here, and he's
won himself a free
kick. Yes, that was by the non-controlling umpire. So Zerha can have his first kick for goal for the day.
He plays in a really tough position, Ben. Like the role that he plays, he's often undersized. I know what he brings to the team is that aggression and at times just the uncanny knack to be able to, get shots at goal. But when you set up against an opposition with a structure like he has, he's really been free. Well, he's never been free. He's always had at least one opponent, if not two or three at times.
Directly in front, Cam Zerha. And he just squeezes it in. Late consolation goal for the Roos, but importantly for Zerha, a nice confidence booster on what has been a really tough afternoon where he's barely had any green grass to work with.
Doesn't look overly thrilled by that as well. He knows it's been a tough day. A nice finish and a little bit of reward for his effort, because it hasn't been a lack of effort. He's been working when he's been in front of the football, trying to provide that option. He's just been really well defended. It's a great Tracker and Oliver coming from the ground.
Just about to say exactly the same thing. They've earned their keep today. Stephen May also sitting on the bench alongside Max Gawn and Michael Hibbert and Adam Tomlinson. Tomlinson's got through probably 3.5 quarters in his first game back unscathed. So the D's, some of the D's more senior players having some time on the bench. And what that means is we've now got Jackson, Jordan, Harms and Neil Bullen in the centre bounce for the D's. Goldstein up in the ruck for North Melbourne, hoping for Greenwood from the hit out. Neil Bullen applies the tackle, but that one isn't going anywhere. Be pretty hard to have a glass half empty attitude if you're a Melbourne supporter from today's game, Dal.
Absolutely. And I think off the back of last year, there was a lot of trepidation from their supporters saying, let's not talk about it, let's make sure that we get there before we start celebrating. I reckon there'll be a different attitude. This is more, hey, we now know we are good enough. It's just about execution and getting it done. They might have patches this year where they might be a bit flat. And they're in a luxurious position to say, it's okay. We know what it's about when September comes around. We've got the cattle.
Yep. Peaked at the right time.
They've got the depth. You don't want them to have any injuries, but you look at their list and the amount of players that are still missing today and the performance of some of their, I don't mean this to be rude, like lesser well-known players, even though all of them are stars, to say, hey, we can work through these challenges. A little bit like the Tigers have in previous years.
Personified peaking at the right time of the year last year as well. Did the Demons as Brown comes up and on the second attempt takes a strong mark. And that was a tough marking attempt as well, because Josh Walker, who's been valiant for North Melbourne in defence today, was right on his hammer, and Brown marks on the right side for a right footer.
Can't do anything about that, Josh Walker. That was as close to your opponent as you can play.
So we can't go back here. Ben Brown on the long run up. It looks like he might be going around the body. And our Kao Sports camera perfectly positioned to capture this attempt at goal. And he goes through, Ben Brown, for goal number 5. And he's been a shining light today on what has been a big afternoon for the D's. They've got 19 goals. Big high-scoring performance from them. And they lead by 87 points.
Well, one thing you can always trust with Ben Brown, he'll lead at the ball carrier. He will present a straight option in a straight line. He doesn't have a lot of tricks in regards to the zigs and the zags like we know some of the other forwards do. But he'll give you an option.
Yeah.
He'll have those jukes out in front. And one thing he's always been good at, Ben, is the execution of the set shot. Now, that one clearly around his body. But he's had a fine day.
Yeah. This time last year, he was struggling to get himself fit, or had certainly had those knee issues. But now he comes into the 2022 season off a great pre-season and with a confidence-boosting 5-goal haul here against the Kangaroos. Thomas from the centre bounce towards half forward. And Hunt was able to just get boot to ball there. And asked Salem to drive some run here. Go to attack that hard, but so did Jackson. Athletic from the big man. Paddle it to Jordan and now to Hunt. Towards half forward over the head of McDonald. And Wiedemann has got some fresh legs, but the ball beats him and Zeeble over the line. And it's going to be tough again for the D's at match committee with McDonald and Brown and Wiedemann. So many key position players to try and squeeze into this lineup, and the fact of the matter is, Dale, they're probably not going to be able to fit them all in.
That's the reality of the situation. Just a little injury concern here behind play. Salem just coming from the ground in the hands of the trainers, limping, so it looks to be a lower leg concern as Harms snaps one around his body on the non-preferred. It's a lovely finish.
Just keep our eyes on that. Harms kicks his third goal for the day. He's been amongst the goal kickers today. But, Salem just being attended to by...
It was just in that last passage of play, Benny.
Yep.
He got the give and go. He lobbed one over the top and then got it back on his preferred side against the boundary line.
Yep.
You can't miss him with that hair colour as well.
No, him and Joel Smith have gone the same approach, and it's questionable, but we'll pay it here on KO Sports today. Here's the goal from Harms, another goal from a forward 50 stoppage. Just quickly got boot to ball and able to make the most of his opportunity. So that is now a 93-point lead for Melbourne. And they've still got plenty of time to ensure that lead balloons beyond 100 points. What has been a tough afternoon for the Roos. To a certain extent, it really has felt like the reigning premiers against the reigning wooden spooners from a scoreboard perspective today, but still some great signs for the Roos from this game, and Taron Thomas has been one of the shining lights. Inside 50, but over the head of Larkey. Brayshaw tried to tap it towards the teammate's advantage, though, but back to Thomas and Young and Thomas and Goldstein all combining via hand. And a well way to kick here to Lazaro, who straightens up and kicks towards the top of the goal square. Taylor was there along with Zerha, but too many demons waiting to pounce at ground level. That's been something right throughout the day, Dal, that every time the ball's gone inside North Melbourne's forward 50, it's come out pretty easily from a Melbourne perspective.
And they've been able to get those edges as well. They get the exit kick, which just takes it from a contested situation to uncontested, and therefore they can control the game. It's one of the few times they haven't got it probably past the centre coming from their defensive 50. But once again, set up really well behind the footy.
So Toby Bedford, who's come onto the ground here for the D's, number 12. Just getting a cheeky 5-minute run here. Goldstein went up high up in the contest. McDonald was really made to earn his contest there as Marnie Marks plays on immediately, but Bailey Scott really had no room to move. And the D's just waiting to pounce again. And Charlie Spargo's played a terrific game today.
Well, the way the D's have set this up, only bringing these players on with a couple of minutes, goes a little bit like the NBA. You feel the game's over, they clear the bench.
Yes.
Come on and have a run around. It's going to be really difficult to show your best form.
Thomas again, another disposal in this final quarter. Inside 50 Ford, that's Eddie Ford. One-on-one there with Hunt. In the end was holding the ball. He's played against Hunt. Stevenson takes the advantage and goes short, and Young can have an opportunity to kick at goal here. And that was a good tackle there from Eddie Ford, who's come on into this game late and been sort of stationed in that forward 50. The thing is, for him, the ball's barely been inside that forward 50 for most of this last quarter.
It was a ferocious tackle. I was concerned with maybe a possible dump or a drive, but it was good intent.
Lockie Young, 15 games last year for the Roos, averaged 11 disposals per outing. That's a good-looking kick off the boot. Perfectly executed. Lovely finish from Lockie Young. Probably makes it a bit harder now for the D's to bring up a triple-figure margin as North Melbourne get their second goal of the final quarter. That's what's really been about today for North, Dal, is trying to get a good look at some of these younger players like Ford and Gota. We've seen bits of him and Horn Francis and Bergman and Curtis. Something all for North Melbourne fans, a bit of a glimpse of the future.
Well, if you're a young North Melbourne supporter, you get to pick your favourite player that you're going to watch for the next 10 to 15 years. Now, clearly, Horn Francis is going to be an easy one, but you know, you've read out a couple of names. I reckon you could go another 5 to 10 from there. You think, okay, you know, this is the core or the nucleus of what the next decade will look like, and they've just got to fit the pieces around it. Obviously, support and develop this core group, and then just find some extra pieces.
Yep.
You know, Todd Goldstein won't play forever. Jack Zeeble won't be there forever. So you need to find that stability. Who's going to be the next leaders of this football club?
Pickett again, that clever little 1%er. Try to paddle it towards the teammates' advantage, but they have the numbers at the back here, North Melbourne. Gota to Scott, around the body. Nicely tapped there by the D's. Rivers got it courtesy of a tap from Jordan, but Rivers' kick was out of bounds on the full. So maybe one final forward foray here for the Kangaroos. They've got 20 seconds left. But Bailey Scott's turned it over straight to Chandler. Play on is called. So Chandler's going to go for Brown, who's eyeing 6 goals. Ball comes to the back. Wiedemann has a chance, dribbles it along the ground, and it's rushed through for a minor score. That would have been the perfect icing on the cake for the D's. Nonetheless, it is as behind that takes the final margin to 88 points. 2012-132 Melbourne to North Melbourne 6-8-44 in what was a terrific performance from the reigning premiers. 5 goals to Brown, 3 to McDonald and Harms, and 2 as well to Max Gawn and Kay Chandler, including a huge goal from the car park. And there was 1 multiple goal kick for North Melbourne. That was Jack Marnie with 2. Everyone else got singles. Lovely day for footy, Dal. And in the end, Demons fans will be smiling ear to ear with what their team has produced today.
And so they should be. They've been waiting to see their team roll out off the back of last year's performance. And they could not be any happier. You know, we spoke about the possibility of a couple of injuries. They all look perfectly fine. So they've got the players and the amount of work into those players that they wanted. But just the system of it, Benny, wasn't it? It was just a team trying to find what their best football could look like in North Melbourne against a group with the D's. It's just enhancing and just growing what they've been building over the last couple of years. Their execution, you know, their understanding and their trust in each other to say, hey, you go win the football or you go defend, I'm going to get to the next point because I know you don't need 2 or 3 people getting to the football. On the flip side, it's where the Kangas are trying to get to. That understanding and that trust of, okay, I can't impact, so what's my next responsibility? What's my next task and how do I help the team? But the Ds were devastating on turnover. From their D50, their ability to move the football forward. You speak about Ben Brown and the goals that he kicked. It's the looks that he got off the back of that ball movement. He is an outcome, and their forward line at times is an outcome of what happens up the field. Petrarca, Oliver was exceptional again today. Like you could speak about every single player. They all did exactly what they had to do.
And from a North Melbourne perspective, they had a real good look at a defence without Robbie Tarrant. That forced certainly Josh Walker to stand up along with Ben Mackay. But all through the midfield as well, we saw Taron Thomas in particular really get a lot of the ball as well. And that's probably the more on-ball time that Taron Thomas can have. That's a mighty exciting prospect for Roos fans.
Absolutely. And we speak about, you know, the options that it gives them. You want to get your best players in positions to impact the game. And for Taron Thomas, he's a good ball user. He makes really good decisions. But he also has that X factor that we speak about. So instead of just quick kicking it like some players may do, particularly out of a stoppage or a clearance, he can create something. He either does it by himself or he brings others into the game to get more bang for their buck coming out of the middle.
That's full time here.